So let's pop into the deck builder here, Pete. And I actually have played Elder Scrolls Legends a little bit, but that was only at E3, and other opportunities where I didn't have a chance to sort of dive into it. So it would definitely be helpful to get a little bit more insight into deck building basics or fundamentals or other things of that nature.
So this gives you an idea. After you've played just the first, you played through the tutorial in the story mode. This is kind of what your collection is going to look like. You're going to have unlocked just 2 decks and basically, a handful of cards. Right. So there's a couple ways you can go about it. One is if you look down there in the bottom, you've got that little triangle diamond looking thing at the bottom. One of the things I always do is click on that and immediately look at, my legendaries and my epics and kind of get an idea for, okay, like what's the crazy good stuff that I've got. So you can go and see sort of at each color pair, what are some of the more powerful cards you might be able to draw on. It's not deciding, but it gives you at least an idea sort of how deep you are.
Sure. So I feel like we actually did have fairly decent luck. I mean, I don't know exactly what the rarity breakdown in Elder Scrolls Legends is, but we did end up with that 1 legendary and several epics. Yep. So looks like we have that green legendary and only 1 green epic, but I thought we had a bunch of blue ones. Was I mistaken? Oh, I guess maybe I was.
Most of the stuff you got blue. Yeah, it was. There you go.
Yeah, so we did get a few blue rares as well. And so I know a little bit about this, Pete, but you're going to have to, explain it to me in a little bit more detail that, you're sort of picking, these are pre-made decks here, the Black Marsh.
Right. So when you start the game, the first thing you do is play through the story mode. And the story mode starts as a tutorial. There's 20 total chapters. And as you play through, you're going to unlock rewards. You're going to unlock new cards. You're going to unlock total decks, get some packs as rewards. So by the time you finish the story mode, you've got 5 different pre-made decks. You've unlocked a bunch of rewards, some of which are going to be random, and then you can start mixing and matching and creating new decks.
Got it. So we should probably make a new one with. We definitely want to work that green legendary in there. So let's just do it.
Add a favorite.
So when you start a new deck, it basically it just assumes you're neutral until you start adding cards. So. You click on this and it'll add green up there at the top right to show, okay, well, now this is one of the colors that you've picked. And then as you go through and add other colors, it will steer you into two colors total. So if you like that card, then the other color we probably need to look at is blue, because all of your last gasp abilities are going to be in green and blue. So that card could be okay in just green, but like that Brutal Ashlander, for example, see the very first card up there at the top left? So he says when he dies, he deals 3 randomly to an enemy, which could either be another creature or the player. So having those is going to be particularly good.
Even having not played a lot of Elder Scrolls Legends, it's obvious that we have a legendary that does, something crazy, with Last Grasp. So that's really, it doesn't take a deck building genius to kind of figure out that, hey, let's just throw Last Grasp, cards in our deck, and that's at least a reasonable place to start. Is it 2 cards per deck, or what's the max that we're allowed to have of a single card? Because I think it's letting me put 3 of these Dunmer Nightshades in there right now.
Yeah. Pete, is there a max amount of 1 card you can have in your deck? Oh, might have lost him. We're on our own, Justin.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Now, he's not here. Just add another color.
Oh, I don't think we can.
They're not. What are they going to do?
Yep, I'm back. Sorry about that.
No worries.
No problem at all. So
we were just wondering if there's a limit to the copies of a certain card you can have in your deck.
Yeah. So 3 is the limit for any versions of a card, except for the legendary unique cards, and those are not only yellow, but they have a little gem up at the top, and you can only have 1 of those.
Got it.
Otherwise, if you look down in the bottom corner, it'll tell you how many copies you have of any given card.
So we have 1 of these, and we had none of these left to put in our deck. So I put in. I think I only had a couple cards with Last Grasp, unfortunately, but I did toss them in my deck. I don't know what else I should be looking for.
Well, so the Lightning Bolt is a must include in any blue deck. I don't know any blue deck that doesn't want the Lightning Bolt in there. It's a great 4 damage, and because it's got Prophecy, you can sometimes play it for free.
Sure.
The Drez Tormentor, I think, is a good card, and you've got at least 1 mace, so it's probably worth including however many copies of Tormentor you have.
Yeah, and then you said we have to get the arrow in the knee in there, right?
Yeah, I mean, what are you going to do?
I think so.
Of course we're going to put it in there.
plus the arrow in the knee has shackle, so it pairs nicely with the Dres Tormentor you just had.
And so, we're seeing a lot of keywords here. Some of these are going to be familiar to people that have played other card games, although, there are some twists on them and some, some differences. But like lethal, for example, destroy any creature this damages. There's similar mechanics in games like Magic the Gathering or Hearthstone or other card games. And so, some of what we're talking about, like Prophecy, you may play this for free when drawn from Rune Loss. So there's a combination of keywords that people are going to be very familiar with, and some that are, sort of new and unique mechanically to ESL.
Yep. So what I would say is, if you go back one screen, the Black Sap Protector, the 3/3 Prophecy Guard guy right there. So he's basically for me an auto include, particularly in earlier decks, because he does a good job of coming down, playing defense. If you draw him off of a rune, you're going to get to play it for free. So you want to look for stuff that has the word Prophecy on it. If it's a pretty solid card, those would do well. Green also does the Pilfer mechanic really well. What else? I like the Territorial Viper. That's basically just kills something that you need to get rid of. It attacks right away and kills it. I like Cliff Racer because he's, again, pretty aggressive and comes out.
I feel like we have a fairly reasonable mana ramp here, or Magicka ramp, excuse me. But, but what we're missing is sort of a really nice win condition, just something big,
So I think you probably want to play a couple copies of the Charis Reaper. He does a nice job of shrinking down all of your enemies' creatures in a single lane. It obviously highlights nicely when the lane mechanic becomes important.
I like that it's nice and easy for me to figure out, like, Ward, I haven't played this game, what does that mean? But just, mousing over sort of lets me see at a glance.
Yeah. Make sure you turned off the filter on the bottom so that you're showing all rarities and not just...
Yeah, I did do that, so we're seeing everything here.
Let's see. You're going to probably want some more early stuff, so things like the Crown Quartermaster isn't bad. A 2/1 that gives you an item is pretty good. The High Rock Summoner, one of the themes is conjuring up Atronachs. They're cards that you can't put into your deck, but you can only get by using that.
Yeah, I'm a fan of looking at more of these blue cards. It sort of seems like a lot of card draw is a big feature of this color. Or just putting random things in your hand when they play them.
Yep.
Sorry if I missed this. Do you have to have exactly 50 cards in your deck?
No, you can put in up to 70 if you want, but as any good card player knows, you want to play the minimum necessary to make sure you're increasing the chance of drawing stuff.
Yeah, so really, I mean, us being fairly new to the game and having only gone through a portion of the tutorial, we might end up just sort of including almost all of our green.
You're going to include a fair amount. The Racketeer, the Skooma Racketeer, the 2/2 that's there that gives lethal. That's it's a pretty good card. I mean, you got to keep in mind sometimes, like even if you don't have great finishers, if you're able to deploy threats that can simply deal with your opponents and still be around, that's going to be really good for you. Yep.
So, are you seeing any sort of? I just tabbed over to the neutral cards here. Any sort of nice staples we should be looking at here in the neutral category?
For me, I think Crushing Blow is probably a good idea, and you only have one of the Dres Tormentor, but Dwarven Sphere, the 2/3 for 3 there, because it shackles. If you have a Tormentor out, he comes down. He's a decent creature, and you can shackle something. Again, we're pretty.
Yeah, I don't think based at a glance. I think this holds the Dwarven.
You don't want that.
Don't want that. Okay, I want something. No. I don't have anything that costs 6, so maybe I'll throw just the Dwarven Ballista in there just for funsies.
Yeah, or there's also a creature in green I think you have a copy of that drops another creature when it hits the battlefield.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I do got a couple of these here.
So that guy's not bad, and even the Ransack card that's there, it's a little bit pricey, but having something that's Prophecy and deals 3 and also gains you some health, that can actually be pretty relevant. Things are close, so that's not a bad card.
I mean, go ahead.
Well, I was just saying, another good technique for selecting cards for your deck is if you like the artwork. that never goes wrong.
No, it's what could possibly go. Oh, I didn't even notice. Do I have like a foil or an animated card here?
Yes. So the one on the right there is a foil version. It's the premium version of that card. It's all bright and shiny and animated and awesome.
And those drop at just a rare rarity when you're opening card packs.
Yeah, that just randomly drops as you're opening cards. One of them could be a foil.
Cool. I mean, my sense, again, having played many other card games and drafted in other card games, is you're halfway there if you have a reasonable mana curve that looks good. You'll be in pretty decent shape.
We're a little aggressive at the 3-drop spot. It probably wouldn't kill us to spread that out a little bit. Maybe cut a few things that we've got in there. Let's see. Probably cut the Dwarven Sphere and probably cut the Farsight. I don't think those are doing enough for us. Yeah. So you just click on them to get rid of them. You don't even have to drag them. Just click on them to go away.
Sure.
Don't waste your energy.
Don't waste your energy. Yeah. I think those are reasonable. You know what? The guild recruit there, the 1/2 with lethal. The thing I love about those is, generally speaking, if you draw them late in the game, they're going to just trade for some big dumb threat that your opponents put out. So they're fine early on and trade for something small, but they're also good later in the game where they'll get rid of some big thing just by using lethal.
So Pete, what's dawning on me just now is we're building this deck and we're about to play against you.
Yeah.
And I'm not at all convinced that you're just not setting yourself up for a blowout victory.
Yeah. Touche.
Well, let's be fair. I've been playing a little bit longer than you have. I actually don't have like an amazing, since we did the reset a little while ago. I've been traveling so much that I haven't built my collection back up. But I have a few sort of wonky, not all that great decks and some other color pairs that I don't usually play. So I'll play something that's nowhere near ready for prime time. That
Yeah, it's actually
won't slap you around too much.
A big hobby of mine in any game like this is just building a deck that 4 out of 5 times doesn't work, but if you manage to draw into the exact combo you're trying to pull off, it's just such a great feeling.
And one of the things that I think it's fun and always instructive, particularly when you're starting a game like this, is to just get a chance to play with some stuff and get a sense for, wow, that card's better than I thought, or oh, I see what that mechanic is doing, that I didn't really appreciate before, but now I totally get like why it's good or why it's not. Whether it's something like Shackle or, like how many cards do we have spots for left?
We got 1 left. So that's why I've just kind of been trying. Again, I'm not looking so much at synergy and just kind of trying to get a nice, reasonable mana curve. Magicka curve.
Yes. What about that Slaughterfish?
Sure. I like
like even a card like Slaughterfish, right? That isn't great, but there's sometimes when you play that out and your opponent can't answer it, and all of a sudden that thing just goes completely bonkers.
ESL with Pete.
Very, very clever.